Yuka Royer from our business desk is here in studio with me. Yuka, it is an honour usually reserved for the CEO of a company making a major market debut. But this Thursday, it was Donald Trump who rang the opening bell in New York.
Well, Sharon, this was a first for Mr. Trump, who is a long-time businessman and a New York City native. He made the ceremonial appearance after being named the Time magazine's Person of the Year, flanked by his family members as well as Vice President-elect J.D. Vance. It also gave him another opportunity to talk up tariffs and other policies. Camille Knight has more.
A triumphant ring of the New York Stock Exchange opening bell after Donald Trump's political comeback earned him the title of Person of the Year for a second time.
It's been an honor, and every time it's an honor, I will tell you. And thank you very much for doing it. And thank the whole group at Time. Really very professional people. Thank you very much.
Since 1927, Time magazine has named a person, group or concept that it deems has had the biggest impact on the world, for good or for ill, over the previous 12 months. In 2023, the magazine selected Taylor Swift, but it's also become almost a rite of passage for US presidents. 13 of them have received the honour at least once, including President Joe Biden.
It seems particularly almost a no-brainer this year. We have to remember this is not a kind of award or a medal. It's simply a kind of snapshot of where the world is at this moment in time, who's had the most impact this year and who's likely to have the most impact going forward.
Trump has a well-documented fixation on being on the covers of magazines, especially Time.
I've been on the cover many times. I don't know who has the record, but I can only probably talk well about 25% of the covers. 25% are great. The others I just sort of hide.
Back in 2015, he complained that he was not chosen for the cover that instead went to then German Chancellor Angela Merkel. His first selection in 2016 came after his unexpected rise to the presidency. This time, it reflects his political comeback that the magazine says is unparalleled in American history.
Well, despite the initial excitement on the trading floor, US stocks turned negative, with the Dow Jones tumbling more than 200 points at the close and the Nasdaq falling from the previous day's record close, which had breached the 20,000 mark. This after new data showed wholesale inflation in November came in higher than expected, with producer prices increasing by the most in 5 months, Sharon.
The European Central Bank, it's lowered interest rates yet again, shifting its focus from fighting inflation to shoring up a sluggish European economy.
The ECB says it expects inflation to come down to its 2% target next year, as it lowered its benchmark deposit rate by a quarter percentage point to 3%. It marked the fourth rate cut since June. The rate was negative for 5 years before COVID, but as inflation surged, the central bank aggressively raised rates to a record 4% before making a U-turn. Now the concern is on economic growth, with political instability in France and Germany and the threat of a potential trade war with the US casting a shadow. Here's ECB's president, Christine Lagarde, speaking earlier.
One thing that we discussed in the last 2 days, it's the level of uncertainty that we are facing, and whether it's uncertainty resulting from political situations in some of the member states, the outcome in terms of policies of the US elections. All of that is largely a question mark, because there is a distance between the words and the action taken.
Finally, in business news, Japan has auctioned fresh fin whale meat for the first time in decades, and it's fetched record prices.
Yeah, in nearly half a century indeed. Well, some 1.4 tons of meat from 3 females caught off the coast of Japan in early December was up for auction this Thursday, with the rarest tail meat considered a delicacy, fetching 200,000 yen per kilo. That's more than 1,200 euros. Japan suspended commercial whaling in 1976, although it continued to allow ships to capture them for scientific purposes. But after the country withdrew from the International Whaling Commission in 2019, it resumed whale hunting within its exclusive economic zone. Japan's fisheries agency this year added females to its list of 3 whale species that can be legally hunted. Whale meat was once an affordable alternative to meat, but its consumption has dwindled in recent years.
Yuka, thank you so much for all of that. Yuka Royer there with our business news. Will